The Texans have been busy this offseason, but most of the investments have been on the defensive side. So when does CJ Stroud get some new friends? Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans, and let's talk about the Texans' strategy this offseason, where most of their new faces have been on the defensive side of the football. And it leads me to wonder, when's CJ Stroud getting some new friends over there on offense? Now, look, the Texans were a solid team last year. The offense had its moments, the defense had its moments, and both sides of the ball needed upgrades and changes with the offseason approach. And both sides of the ball needed to bring a couple of players here or there back. Obviously, on offense, I don't want to say there's been no investment in the offense, because there has been. Dalton Schultz got a contract extension, and the team traded for Joe Mixon. But as far as new acquisitions, new faces on this team, the majority of them have been over on defense. So when you look at this, the green names are the new acquisitions. Now, obviously, again, Dalton Schultz was brought back for this team. The offensive line has three guys that are in contract extensions. They've got three guys that are rookie players. They traded for Kendrick Green. Like, there's definitely some investment already there on the offensive side of the ball. But the new names over on offense, look at the lack of green up here on offense. And then you look down here at defense, a couple of new defensive ends, some new defensive tackles, linebackers, cornerbacks, a safety. The punter, that's a special teams investment and a conversation for another time. But this heavy investment in the defense shows me a couple of things. One, there were opportunities to improve the defense. Jonathan Grenard is a very nice player. Danielle Hunter is a great player. Jerry Hughes filled in admirably in those 2 years as the veteran, as the old guy in the defensive line room. Danico Autry is an upgrade. Cashman had a career year last year at linebacker. Azeez Al-Shire is much better. And of course, with some of those big investments, you've got to do something different at cornerback. Steven Nelson's a little bit older. The Texans got younger with a couple of their cornerback additions in Jeff Okudah and C.J. Henderson. And then you look at some of the other additions to the team, adding some depth to this team. Lonnie Johnson and Mike Ford, along with Delshon Phillips. Those are special teams players that help out. And, of course, the special teams rules changed this year with the new kickoff being instituted. It'd be interesting to see how those players are affected. But still, that's depth on defense. So you see all the green down here, and you start thinking, well, when's CJ Stroud getting some new friends? When are guys going to show up green up here on the top? Because, yes, they've got 4 running backs. 2 of these guys are signed to future reserve contracts and haven't really played in the NFL up to this point. Yeah, they've got some wide receivers and plenty of options, but tell me how many of these wide receivers you feel great about. Okay, I don't even feel great about Noah Brown. I feel good about Noah Brown, but I don't feel great about Noah Brown. And then you look at what Robert Woods was able to put together last year, injured, not super productive when he played. John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson playing their first season in the NFL. I know Mechie's not a rookie, but that was the first season he was playing in the NFL. Those 2 guys playing their first season in the NFL. And then a couple of guys that spent time on the practice squad are backup players. The tight end room. Yes, Brevin Jordan had a nice finish to the season. He was hurt again at some point during this season. It took him a little while to get going. Tegan Quintiriano has never stayed healthy for this team. And Dalton Keene's kind of a fullback, kind of a tight end, kind of just a practice squad player. So you start looking at this position, and I really do feel like the investment in the offense by the Houston Texans, and again, I don't want to act like there's no investment. There has been. The offensive line is expensive. They brought back Dalton Schultz. You don't need to necessarily invest in Nico Collins and Tank Dell. They're on rookie contracts, and they added Joe Mixon and extended him. But there's opportunities, and there's avenues, and there's a necessity to add to the offensive room. Bring in some new faces and add a little bit more juice to this team. And that's where it feels like the draft is headed. And you start to think about that trade back out of the first round, away from pick 23, into the second round with pick 42. You pick up that extra pick in the future. But earlier this week, D'Amico Ryans talked about how the sweet spot of the draft was there in the second round. Well, you know what the sweet spot in this draft is? Wide receivers. There are a ton of wide receivers in this draft. of all shapes and sizes, of all speeds and agilities. There are wide receivers for every situation. So if the Texans have 2 selections in round 2, 3 selections overall on the second day of the draft, an investment in a wide receiver makes a ton of sense. Not only because they've already invested a tremendous amount in the defense, but that wide receiver can help day one. Think about a defensive tackle. Yes, a defensive tackle might be pretty talented, could finish the season as one of the key players on the defensive line, heck, might even finish the year as a starter. But you can't tell me that a defensive tackle is going to walk in day one and be better than all those defensive tackles that they've got on the roster. The same could be said for a linebacker, even a cornerback, but second round, third round, even fourth round wide receivers help you right away. They come in and can make an impact, especially if one of those guys is a speedster, a burner, a guy that can get deep, take the top off of the defense. That player can help right away. It's not just the wide receiver either. It's not the best tight end class in the world, but again, something for everybody when it comes to these tight ends. You've got the super athletic, not a lot of production guy like Theo Johnson from Penn State. You've got the connection with C.J. Stroud, tough as nails when he gets the ball in his hand, Cade Stover from Ohio State. You got Jatavian Sanders from Texas, who's a little bit of do-it-all, had a lot of success catching the ball at Texas. And then you got Ben Sinnott, who's not great at anything, but he's pretty good at a lot of stuff, and he did that at Kansas State for a couple of seasons. So, again, a couple of different options, and right there in that third round, fourth round range, it would make sense for a tight end. And we talked about the pass catchers. How about the guy that carries the football? Yes, Joe Mixon is running back 1, and with the contract extension, he's going to be running back 1 again next year. Dameon Pierce, he's a question mark. I don't know what to make of Dameon Pierce in 2024. I hope he figures it out, because if he becomes a complement to Joe Mixon, they've got a fantastic weapon at the running back spot in Dameon Pierce. But you can't bet on that after his struggles last year, so why not add a running back of some sort? And again, sweet spot for wide receivers right there in the second round and the third round. Maybe that's not the sweet spot for the running backs, but there's definitely something for the Texans to add, a specified running back. Maybe a guy that's a short yardage expert, because Mixon's more of a do-it-all guy. Maybe a guy that's an only catch the ball type of running back, someone that's more wide receiver than running back, but has that running back designation, someone like that. The Texans can add one of those guys. So as I showed you the chart with the majority of the green in the defensive spot, 15 new faces, okay, 15 new faces, and 12 of those have been on defense, one of them on special teams and 2 on offense. I got to imagine there's going to be a bunch more green names popping up when the draft is all said and done for the Houston Texans, and there should be. There should not be resting on your laurels when it comes to this offense. Get some new faces in there, get some new blood in there, and get some juice to that offense to help take it to the next level. We believe C.J. Stroud's going to be better. We believe that Tank Dell is going to be healthy all season. Nico Collins is going to be as good as he was last year, maybe even better. Adding to that with this draft class, with these opportunities to add these offensive players, that is paramount for the Houston Texans. What do you think about the new additions? Mostly on defense. I like them, but I'd love to see some additions on offense for C.J. Stroud. Get him some new friends over there on the offensive side of the ball. Let me know if you have a favorite name to add to this offense in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any of the content like the mock draft that's offensive-centric coming your way here on the YouTube channel. You don't want to miss out on that. You don't want to miss out on anything, so subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.